right, hopefully this is working and people can hear me. So, yeah, welcome. Wow, we already have over 100 people for what's an afternoon stream during a workday in the US, so hopefully that's working great. Okay, it's not working, you can't hear me, but yeah, good enough, right? So, great. We've got 75 new cards. We have 69 of the Negro League cards, and then we've got the 6 Jackie Robinsons that were released. So that's probably a good start. So what I thought we'd do, kind of like we did last week, was go through some of the new cards, see which ones are going to play. We may not quite go through all of them the same amount of detail, just because there are a lot more cards to take a look at. But yeah, I thought we'd kind of see which ones are going to play and take a look at how much it changes the different metas, because we've got a bunch to go through. Maybe first, though, it's been pointed out to me that a lot of streams find a way to do a giveaway and get people some extra packs in addition to the drops. And the reason that hasn't happened on this stream isn't actually for lack of support from OOTP. OOTP have been great, and I'm pretty sure if I were to ask them for help, they'd be very happy to do that. It's just been because I haven't figured out how to get this set up, and I'm kind of a Twitch noob. So if anyone wants to help me set it up, we can start doing a few of these giveaways. But in the meantime, I thought maybe it would be fun to at least take advantage of OOTP and find a way to get some people in the chat some packs. So what I thought we might do is jump in. Jump in one of these perfect drafts for anyone that wants to take a shot. Maybe let's take this second one because the first one's just about full. I can do a draft on stream. You can all kind of draft along and see how you do. And then at least one of us is getting 2 diamond packs. So we can sort of think about that as a mini giveaway before we get to some of the Negro League cards. So I'm thinking let's jump in. I guess conveniently enough, actually 3 of these are labeled all in the same way, but let's jump in this one that has 11 out of 64 teams. So if anyone wants to jump in and go ahead and draft along, we can kind of check in again at the end of the stream and see how we're doing, and hopefully it'll be one of the people in the chat that ends up winning. So again, this is the perfect draft. The one at the top of the ones that have ID 98. And I guess while everyone else who wants to is jumping in, I guess why don't I do my draft and you can all kind of see how this goes. I should probably warn you all that I'm actually not a great drafter, so may need to get a little bit of help from chat on this, but we'll see how we do. As soon as it loads. All right, so modern era, kind of one of these quicks, best of 7. Let's see what we got here. So we have this new Jose Mendez card that we're going to end up talking about, toward the end of the stream, I guess. So very splitty. Not a lot of pitcher BABIP, but good amount of control and particularly good versus righties. And then the other cards have been around for a while. We've got this Tulo. Gullickson's a card that had a really good shape last year, but again, maybe doesn't have so much of the pitcher BABIP. The Mauer's probably not a huge bat. This Ned looks great. He's got power, he's got eye, can play third. Technically, this card can even play catcher in a pinch. Probably don't want him to do that. So I'm thinking I'm going to take the Ned here. Heilman's not a bad bat. Like I said, we'll kind of compare and see how everyone else does. I'm pretty sure I won't be the one that wins, but hopefully someone in the chat wins this. Yeah, kidneys will find me and force me to confess my sins. Yeah, I think this Ned's an excellent card. I'm quite happy taking Ned. Let's see what we got here. So this Dukeshire is actually a really good card, but I'm not sure we want to take a reliever this early. So I think we're looking either at Pee-wee, where you get 95 range and excellent defense, a ton of eye, and not a bad bat. or Edgar, where the bat's better, but he's not as high on the defensive spectrum. You like the Pee-wee? Yeah, that sounds good. I rock this. Let's go with Pee-wee. So we're kind of getting the infield filled out. All right. Well, this Bregman's just the best card available, so I think it's clear we're taking Bregman. This does raise an interesting problem that can come up in drafts, which is, if we look at our early picks, Ned really only wants to play third. Pee-wee absolutely only plays short, and Bregman also only plays 2 positions. But I think Bregman's just such a good card that we want all 3 of these on our roster. Maybe one of them is going to DH, but we're just taking the best player available pretty clearly. All right, let's go on. So gold. This looks a little tougher. So both, Looper and JJ Putz are both, these are both solid relievers if we're willing to pick a reliever here in gold. Beyond that, I don't know. Anyone see anything they like? I mean, Hafey kind of doesn't have a ton of shape for what we have. This Jacobson, there was a version of this card last year I think that was better defensively. This one kind of isn't it. Maybe Larry Doyle has the best bat here, but he's got 40 range, and we can't DH him because of what we've already picked. Markakis, I guess if we have to pick something, maybe Markakis is the right shape at least. Yeah, we've got to take 2 of these, so probably one's going to be Markakis. Let's see, Jose De Leon. I think that card's just too scary. I mean, this low control against all of the high I cards, and then also he's really splitty, and there are a lot of really high I lefties that are going to be available. I think this is just too scary to want to try. Actually, if we want a starter, there is this Zach Gallen. Could do that. So the problem here is he only has 68 stamina. Nootbaar, we can take a look at that live Lars Nootbaar. You're right. That's not a bad shape as these go. He plays 3 positions. This is. I think this round's definitely why we're not winning the draft here. The Newts would definitely take Nootbaar, right? all right. Well, we'll take Nootbaar. If we're taking Nootbaar, maybe instead of Markakis. Yeah, let's take one of the relievers, I think, because at least we're getting a high-end reliever. I'd rather a starter, but yeah, it's a tough round. All right, well, this is a little better. So we've got a few interesting options here. So first off, this Will Seymour. Everything about this card is excellent except the 37 stamina, which probably makes him a reliever, unfortunately, but a really good one. Sherry Smith, that's another option that kind of looks good. You have the really low pitcher BABIP, so you're relying on the rest of the card to work. It's not ideal, but as much as pitcher BABIP feels like it's almost everything, if you're good enough at the other ratings, the card's still playable. I think we might be stuck with Sherry Smith. What else do we got here? This Harry Davis doesn't really have any eye. Okay, we have this new Sammy Hughes. So this looks interesting. We have a decent amount of eye. I'd rather power instead of BABIP, but this is a lot of BABIP and a lot of gap. And I think one of the things we're going to see as we go through these cards, even though there are a lot of cards with high pitcher BABIP in the game right now, there is a point that when you have enough BABIP, you're still getting enough hits to have offensive value. And one of the things that I've been finding starting to look at these Negro League cards is a lot of them do have enough BABIP to be pretty playable. So I think probably we want Hughes. Then what do we think? Do we want, 4 good innings out of Will C. Moore, or do we want, 6 or 7 okay innings out of Sherry Smith? I don't know. What do you think, chat? You're all maybe busy doing your own drafts. All right, not seeing a lot of suggestions here, so let's go Will C. Moore. Maybe we'll find some starters later on. The stamina. So the problem with Will C. Moore is he has 37 stamina. So we're really only going to get about 4 innings out of him, but there'll at least be 4 pretty good innings. So if we take Will C. Moore, I think we're leaning toward ending with 13 pitchers maybe. All right, next round. Okay, Vita Blue, that's an easy call. That's clearly sort of a card in the gold meta. Yeah, I think Will C. Moore is ideally a reliever. So Vita Blue is pretty clear. Guante, this is an excellent card. Kind of got the shape you want, but we do really have 2 relievers already. Maybe we just take Allie Reynolds. It's not ideal, but it's a draft, and you sort of take what you can get. I mean, I'd be happy with Gil McDougall maybe, but we have a lot of infielders. Take a look at this Charlie Root. I think the shape's just not quite as good. Yeah, those low stamina cards, they're going to struggle because you're just not going to get through enough innings with them. So I think ideally we're thinking of Will C. Moore as a reliever. We'll kind of see what happens. All right, on to the silver rounds, and again, this doesn't look super inspiring, does it? Let's see. Norm here at least has some eye. Probably we're going to end up with that by default. This Verlander is kind of meh, but we do need starters. Maybe we're going to end up with Verlander. I mean, there's not a lot else that we're going to love in this round. Yeah, I think it's just a pretty easy decision to go Verlander. Catcher time. I'm hoping we're going to get a good catcher somewhere. We haven't had a ton of options here in gold and silver, unfortunately. All right, let's see what we got. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of meta cards pop up here. Pretty sure that we're not the ones winning this draft. Just stick. Yeah, that's true. We could just stick Ned at catcher in this draft. What's good? It's supposed to be a way to get someone else some packs. So I think we're not the ones winning this. Let's go with Burnett, just because we've got to pick something here. Maybe it's Altman just because he's going to be a backup, but he's at least going to play 3 positions for us. Yeah, I guess the thinking is if we're going to take a card we really don't want to play, let's at least take one that plays a bunch of positions. I'm just looking. I mean, it would be nice if one of these live cards, happened to play 5 positions. Actually, I wonder if that's better. Well, we're only getting 1 extra position. Yeah, all right, let's... I'll take the guy that plays 4 positions. Just so we at least fill out a depth chart. Hopefully we get some nicer options here. All right, well, here we go. We actually now have a tough choice on our hands. So here's what we got. We've got Bobby Shantz. This is absolutely going to be a meta starter in silver. We need a starter. We really want Shantz. Okay. Then we've got 3 outfielders that all really should be considered. Probably Beltran's the one we're going to discard first, but even this card, as we talked about last week, given what you get in center, is pretty playable. But I think the real decision here, so one option is Kimbrough, and we're going to talk about him as we go through the cards. But this Kimbrough, is about as good as the Kimbrough we had last year in terms of a card that really should be in and around the meta for a while. You get a ton of eye, you get good defense at 3 positions, you even have 82 range in center, a little bit of base running, and again, this BABIP is in the range that it's going to start to be playable. On the other hand, Burrows, not an outfielder. He really wants to DH, but this is one of the best bats in silver. And it's a much better bat than Kimbrough. Yeah, I'm running Kimbrough in the low silver also. I can check in on how we're doing, but I'm definitely running Kimbrough there. This Valdez is also a card I would have been happy to take, but I think it's Kimbrough or Burrows. So what do we think? Do we want to try the new Kimbrough, or do we just want the big bat? Kimbrough? All right, let's do Kimbrough. Actually, this Kuroda is also pretty playable. Yeah, I guess this happens sometime in drafts where, we got one round we would have happily taken 6 cards from. So, all right, on to bronze. So what do we need here? Well, first off, we still need 2 catchers. So we clearly are taking 1 this round. And I think we just have to take Zamora because it's going to be such a good reliever here. So I think it's Zamora in one of the catchers. What do we think here? So we got Chadwick, 63 catcher ability, a little bit of power. Barnes, not that much better, but slightly better defensively, slightly better offensively. So I think we're at Barnes. It would have been nice. This DeMoss is an interesting card we'll talk about, just with all that eye and being able to play a ton of positions. So I don't think this DeMoss is quite going to be a meta card overall, but this is the kind of card that you love in a draft because you're willing to stick him at any of these positions, and the bat plays and the glove kind of plays. But I think we need the catcher. So, all right, and we get our last catcher here. That's kind of unfortunate that it's Ted Simmons. So I guess that's a decision. What do you think? Do we take a second catcher anyway, or do we just decide that Ned's our catcher rather than kind of throw a spot at Simmons? Always more catchers. Who plays? Well, if Ned moves, then Bregman plays third. Because right now, one of Bregman Bregman, Ned, or Pee Wee, one of them was going to DH. So it's actually not bad to let Ned play catcher. On the other hand, the thing about having him play catcher is also you're taking the bat out of the lineup a third of our games. So I kind of like having all of those bats in the lineup as much as possible. Yeah, all right. Maybe we'll take the catcher, and then we just kind of need an arm. So what are we looking for here? We would like 3 or 4 more arms. Could even be 4 if we decide that we're going to try to run Will Seymour as a starter. Then it could even be 4 because we didn't get enough other good starters. Huck Betts at least has control, but not much else. All right. Well, I don't love any of the pitchers, so I think it's going to be Huck for one of them. Yeah, Ned could be DH. Let's see. So if he DHs and backup catches, We could do that. I guess he'd be out of the lineup a little bit more because he's catching a third of the time, but yeah, it's probably doable. I like that idea too. So what do we need here? We just want someone that's going to play a bunch of positions. Actually, this is not a bad shape. You got power and eye. Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll see if we can find ourselves an infielder at the end or something. Seems reasonable. Yeah, Benji's a good glove. He just didn't quite play the positions we needed, I think. But yeah, that's a good option. So what do we need here? We okay, 2 or 3 pitchers. Any pitcher? Well, we only have. Well, we need 2 or 3 pitchers, and we actually only have 1 pitcher in the last round. I guess in principle I should have been counting pitchers in a draft. I usually don't think to do that. Even though they kind of give me the count right over there, I just assume there are going to be a couple pitchers available. Okay, well, we're taking Justin Steele. That's an easy decision. All right, well, we're going to have 11 pitchers. I'm guessing we are not going to win this draft here. But hopefully someone in chat is having a better draft. So let's see what we got here. Well, we'll take Willie Mays with his huge eye. We'll take Frank Chance with his huge eye. You know, we'd like a multi-position infielder, at least to play second and short if we can't get more. All right, here's second, third, and short. Okay, here's another multi-position guy. All right, I think we got a draft. We've managed a total of 11 pitchers in the modern era. Can any of the Negro League players pitch that we have here? That's a good question. I guess Kimbrough would be our best shot. Well, he's got 2 stuff. His fastball's got a 9. Let's see. Sammy Hughes. Well, he at least has pitcher BABIP. Nope. I think the answer here is actually that we're just pretty stuck. So what I will do is I'll throw at least some fatigue settings on, and let's call it that. I'm pretty sure whoever we draw in the first round is essentially getting a bye here. So yeah, I think whoever we draw in the first round is probably getting a bye here. So let's go on and take a look at some of the Negro League cards. But just as a reminder, what we're doing here is we're filling up this perfect draft that now has 44 of 64. Hopefully we've got a bunch of people from chat in here that, well, we're not taking down the 2 diamond packs, so you got a 1 in 63 chance of winning it, and we'll check back on how we're doing at the end. So, all right, with that in mind, let's start taking a look at some of the new cards and see what we think. So we've got 75 of them. We're kind of going to go a little bit quicker, I think, but I'm at least going to try to quickly pull up all of them so that we get a chance to take a look, as well as get an idea of what the model's doing. Maybe we won't go into an extended discussion of the meta or anything like that, just to try to make sure we get through it. So, all right, what do we got here? We got Elwood DeMoss. Actually, hold on. That's the way I should do this. Right? Much easier. In the meantime, by the way, I'll just ask in chat. Does anyone have a draft that they did that they really like? All right, while we're waiting to hear, let's take a look. So Elwood DeMoss here. So I think this is the kind of shape that we've seen on a lot of these new Negro League cards, where first off, you notice he plays a lot of positions. He's not fully trained at so many of them, but the thing is that really doesn't matter this year because except for the very high-end cards, you're really not playing any of them in the league. Okay, I see a couple no's on the draft. A great draft for the Dead Ball Weekly. That's good, but you're not getting 2 diamond packs for that. Although I guess you could get something more valuable. So we see with Elwood, the nice thing is that in a tournament, all of these are going to be fully trained. So you're getting a card that's going to be able to play 5 positions, can bunt, good amount of base running, and then this card, which I think is typical for the era, it's a BABIP heavy card rather than a power heavy card. But what's really nice here is a lot of these cards, as we're going to see, also have some eye and also have some gap power. And that's going to make them a lot more playable. Oh, you got Carl for real. Well, that's a card that's going for a lot right now because of the Jackie mission. I think I saw that card was going for at least 100K. So that's a nice one to get out of the non-live. Oh, it's packs only. Yeah, I guess if it's packs only, then pretty much it's what you need for the mission. Although it's funny because actually, the Frio conversation again. What was there just a conversation with him on another stream or something? I think I missed that. But I'll at least I'll just mention quickly that for Rio, although he's going for a lot of points, I wonder if a little bit of this is actually managers not quite counting carefully. So I'll show you what I mean by that. He's in I believe this mission. Is that right? Yeah, he's in this mission. So if you look at this mission, we need 153 mission points in order to complete. Okay, yeah. So I haven't read the Discord in detail, but I guess it's been discussed. Yeah, I think the point is that this card is in the mission, but if you actually look at what you need to complete it, the problem is essentially everybody has Pee-wee because he's from one of the other missions. But even if you have all of the other cards in the mission plus for Rio, you don't quite have enough to finish it without Duke Snider. So it's actually not clear that you need him for the mission, but fair enough. If that one's been discussed to death, let's move on and let's go back to looking at Elwood DeMoss. So you get a guy that's going to play 5 positions. That's the part that's really going to be helpful. Unfortunately, it's not really clear that he plays any of them quite well enough to be a card that you're excited about having in the meta. We're going to talk about a few other options, even just at second base, where we're more excited in bronze from the latest release. And you only got 62 infield range, so it's not really a great defensive card. I will say that this is a card just because the positional flexibility that maybe is going to appear in either like a bronze floor cap or something like that. But yeah, maybe for that alone and the flexibility, he's sort of a C tier card, but this is probably not one that we're going to be super excited about. So let's move on. To Piper Davis. All right, well, this one, unfortunately, this one's actually pretty easy. If we look at the things that are still most important in the meta right now, it's going to be eye, which he doesn't have at all, power, which he doesn't have at all, a little bit better defensively, but there are just so many solid options. Even if you're just comparing him, say, to Elwood, you'd much rather have that Elwood. Plus, Elwood is better base runner, better bunter. This is a card that we're only going to be interested in for mission value, I think. So let's move on. I wonder, by the way, I'll see what people are thinking about this in chat. One of the changes this year is that the mission value for everything below diamond got dropped pretty significantly. The golds dropped from 25 and 20 points to 15 and 10. The silvers then dropped from 10 to 5. Bronze is 5 to 2. And I guess the irons are 1. And I wonder, does that mean that you're no longer going to plan on collecting all of the bronzes and you're just going to focus on the high-end cards for most of these missions? So do we think that the bronzes actually are no longer going to have value, or do we still think a card like this is going to be something everybody finds is efficient to collect as part of trying to finish missions? See what people think about that. In the meantime, I don't want only with sellers. Let's go on and look at Grady Orange. Yet another second baseman, and yet another second baseman that plays a lot of positions. A little better defensively. He's got 82 on the eye, and that's also going to help. I see bronze and irons are free anyway. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. The bronzes and irons are free anyway. I think the biggest difference is going to be the silvers, because usually historical silvers, just because of the drop rates, end up being bottlenecks for a lot of things and fairly expensive. And by dropping them to 5 points, it might be that everyone just ignores them. Let's see. All right, so looking at Grady, the eye helps. So this is a card that at least kind of ends up in top 20s. Having said that, it's not an excellent defensive card. And the problem is, you're still comparing that card one of these times I'm going to learn how to spell on stream. You're still comparing that card with a bat like this Ryan Schimpf, which is probably a comparable card defensively, and he just ends up way behind Schimpf. So as much as the shape of this card is nice, this is just not going to end up in the meta anyway. So let's go on and find some of the ones that are probably more playable. And it's fine that they don't all end up in the meta. If 75 new cards are released, you wouldn't really expect to see 75 cards that are all going to be relevant for the meta. And as I think we'll see, there are a bunch in this set that are quite playable. But not all of them. All right, so Malarker. Well, I think the first thing that's going to pop out is we've got 103 on the eye, 104 versus lefty, 103 versus righty. Instead of power and eye, this is a BABIP and eye card. But even so, you've got a card that has a lot of eye, can bunt, can run a bit, plays all 4 infield positions, and with 72 range, it's a card that you don't hate running out there in these infield positions. So that means this is going to be a really good card for building, kind of well-rounded depth charts. This is a card that you love to run as a backup card in a cap, because he can back up a lot of different positions, and you don't hate it if he ends up playing almost any of them. So this is the kind of card that I think we were hoping for from this set, where it's just going to be a lot easier to figure out how to build rosters with a card like Malarker. So overall, I don't have this card as quite being a top option anywhere. At second base, for example, he ends up somewhere around 8th, but more importantly, we're going to get to in a moment, there's another new release that's even better as a bronze second baseman. At third base, he's the second best low bronze third baseman, but still ends up grading out behind Dave Kingman. And in caps, Kingman's always going to be better because Kingman's cheaper. So this is a card that you're really going to want for roster building in low diamond, I think. I mean, in low bronze, I think. I think this is a good chance that this ends up being a low bronze meta card for quite a while, just because he plays sort of everywhere in the infield competently and is going to be like a top 5 to 10 option at any of those positions. So you love it when you can back up all three. So this probably is like an A or B tier card. Maybe we'll round up and we'll give it an A. I think Malarkey is one of the cards that you're going to want to pick up. And actually, I wonder whether I should pick one up. But I probably should know better than to do that on stream at this point. So, yeah, but Malarkey, I think, is the first one we've seen that you're going to want to pick up not just for mission value, but because you're going to want to play this card in a bunch of your builds. All right, next, what do we got? We got Donald Reeves. So this, I think, is kind of the opposite. So doesn't have I. It's again a BABIP heavy card, but it's a BABIP heavy card without I that doesn't run and just that doesn't play defense. So I think this one's going to be a pass. Let's move on. See, we can do some of these faster if we. All right, Alex Radcliffe. So a little bit unusual for the set. Radcliffe only plays third base. So he's not so good overall for roster building, and that means this card's only going to be relevant if he ends up being really the best third base option. So it is true that it's nice that he's not so splitty. And again, the BABIP is starting to get to the point that this card at 77 BABIP, this card is actually going to start to get hits. So let me just kind of check the model for a second. But yeah, to give you an idea, this is a card that's probably going to hit for 50 points of average more than, say, Dave Kingman at third. And Jimmy Ryan, I think, has something in a similar range. And Jimmy Ryan, even though the card is the wrong shape for the meta, it's a good enough card that Jimmy Ryan is still able to hit somewhat in bronze. And I think the same is true here. This is a card that is going to hit somewhat in bronze. But, even though he's only hitting somewhat in bronze, the problem is he's only hitting somewhat. He's much worse defensively than a lot of the other options. So this card grades out right around 20th among bronze third basemen. And that's just not going to be enough that you ever really want to play the card. But if the bat were a little bit better, then I think this card might start to play. Or maybe if he played 5 positions or something like that. Kidneys, yeah, sure. Kidneys, you want to jump on? Let's do that. Let's see if we can. I think we were having problems with the Discord setup before, but yeah, Kidneys, you want to jump on and join in here? All right, give you 5 minutes. That sounds good. So I will edit this tier list with surprise guest Kidneys. Kill 5 minutes and talk about Dave Kingman. Let's see. Sure, we can bring up Kingman just because of how ridiculous this card is. So I think this card with Kingman, this is exactly the reason we were having this discussion in the Discord a couple days ago, and this Kingman card I think is a really good example of where just the way that OOTP is getting overall ratings aren't quite reflective of which ratings are so important. The reason that Kingman's 46 overall is because the things that he's bad at, he's really, really bad at. This 17 and 16 avoid Ks, I'm actually not aware of a lower avoid K for a non-pitcher in the game. Maybe there are a couple. Actually, is there a way to search? Hold on. Let's try. Yeah, there must be a way to search by avoid K. Okay, that's high to low. But let's look at bronze and 1,000 cards. Position all batters. Yep, okay, here we go. Dave Kingman is in fact the lowest hitter in Avoid K, it looks like. So, yeah, so the things that Kingman does poorly, he does, really, really poorly. And that's what's dragging his overall down. But the things he does well, he does at an elite level. So the power, the defense, and the eye. And so I think this is kind of what we mean when we start talking about meta cards. That the reason a card ends up being in the meta is just because the things it does well are things that are kind of undervalued in assigning an overall rating, whereas the things it does poorly are the things that are overvalued. I know Kidneys will disagree with me the moment he jumps on the stream, but in general, I feel like Avoid K is one of the things that's always overvalued. And I think for this card, he agrees with me because he's pointed out that in this case, the strikeouts really weren't going to be hits anyway because there's no BABIP in the card. But when we say we're looking for meta cards, that's kind of what we're looking for, are the ones where something about the shape suddenly makes the card more playable. Yeah, I think the card will be relevant the entire cycle. The only way it wouldn't be is if as power creep goes, there ends up being a card with a similarly extreme shape, but suddenly, more like 50 BABIP or something. If there were like a power creep version of Kingman. I'm trying to think who the right. Yeah, so like Rob Deere. So if you could find a Rob Deere season where you'd be able to make the card low iron, or if there were like a Tettleton or something like that era, then maybe with power creep that would push this card out. But that's the kind of thing you're looking at. I think otherwise, yeah, this card is likely to be relevant pretty much the whole cycle, unless some change is made to the way the engine works. Can't see the Kingman sticking around. So what kind of card are you thinking replaces him? That's true, yeah, because the other thing is that this is a card that plays excellent third base defense. Because again, the thing this card does poorly defensively really is infield error, and that's not nearly as important as the other contributions. So even the shape of this for a third baseman is excellent. In what meta? Well, currently I've seen this card playable even up toward gold, but for the moment, but I think the meta he's going to stick around in the whole time definitely is iron. It's just hard to imagine you're going to get two better third basemen. And the other thing is a lot of iron cards, part of the weakness is they only play one position. This card does at least play two positions. And as much as first base isn't going to be a tough position to find somebody to stick there with a bat, it's still a second position. So this is a card you can run as a backup as well. Or I guess even a platoon in principle, if you have a really splitty option. Yeah, in low iron, this card is I think just ridiculous. So, all right. Well, I think we're gonna get Kidneys on shortly. I suppose this would be the point that I'm supposed to take an ad break or something, except that's also one of the things we don't do on the stream. So, all right, well, why don't we just go on and keep looking at cards, and hopefully we'll get Kidneys shortly. So what do we got next here? Okay, so next we have this Bruce Petway. And this card, I think, is the kind of card that's just absolutely been missing until now in the meta. So here's what we got here. Kidney should be able to drag the stream out till Negro 2 releases. I think that's true. Negro League 2, yeah, I think we might be able to drag this out a bit. Let's just say that between the two of us, there's a good chance you're getting all 5 of your drops. So So look what we got with Petway. First off, we have a solid defensive catcher. We get 92 on catcher ability, 80 on arm. He is eligible at 4 other positions, but I think we're primarily looking at this card as a catcher. At the same time, this is a real bat. You got 80 and 78 on the eye. You have at least some amount of BABIP. Power is missing. But the thing is, if you think about who you're comparing this card to, previously you were looking at, maybe a card like this Randy Hundley, where, maybe the defense is going to be comparable, but the bat's nowhere close. You've got 35 more points of eye over Hundley. Maybe you're even looking at some of the low iron options. People were still looking at, running Zunino, where you have a bat, but no glove. And Petway's bat is going to, sorry, not that Zunino. Good point. This Zunino. So you have a little bit of power, but the gloves were. Thank you. Sorry about that. Good point, I rocked this. This is the Zunino people are running in iron and even in bronze. The bat's better and the glove's better. So this Petway, I think, is just immediately the number one catcher option, not just in bronze, but probably higher up. I think this is probably going to be a card that at least plays in silver, and there might even be some gold builds where you want to back up Hoyles with a card like this rather than a more offensive option. But you're definitely playing this one. All right, hold on. We'll be back in 1 second. Let me see if we can get the technical stuff set up with kidneys. All right. Can you all hear kidneys? You got to say something, or they won't be able to hear you. Okay. Currently just a speaker. I didn't throw a headset on. Yeah. I'm using Twitch Studio. No, that's what I've got. I've just got the standard. It just seems like, all right, well, this is, I think, something to debug off stream. If people can hear you faintly, maybe you should just try talking real loud. Is that the best plan? All right. Well, all right, actually, hold on. I've got another possible backup plan. If you want to host, we could switch over to your stream. All right, here's the plan, because I think chat can only hear one half of this conversation. We're going to debug the audio. We're going to debug the audio problems later. What we're going to do is we're going to switch over to Kidney's stream. We're going to just go ahead and raid his stream so we'll be able to transfer it. It's better after the conversation. All right, we're going to just switch over to Kidney's stream. So why don't you go ahead and fire things up so that we can start to raid you, and in the meantime, I'll figure out how to send you like the little spreadsheet and stuff that I've got. Does that sound good? Yeah, let me know when you're live, and then we're up. All right, we're gonna go ahead and raid Kidneys then. So see, I was wrong when I said you were definitely getting your 5 drops on this stream, but you are definitely getting 5 drops by the end of our discussion. All right, you're up. Oh, no problem. No problem. All right. I think I got the raid created. We're going to go ahead and raid Kidneys, and we'll see you all over on the other stream momentarily. Yeah. We'll just debug the audio stuff later because, you know. Yeah, I think I need to figure out how to fix this. But let's do it, let's do it off stream. You can actually hear both of us. It's I know. All right, so you want me to just send you the spreadsheet I was using for the overlay? Is that the easiest way to do it? Perfect. All right, I'm throwing it in the Discord now. Oh, there is. I had just been capturing a piece of it, but I was capturing. Yeah, I had been capturing and cropping, but feel free to do whatever else works. Sorry, everyone. You get to see us trying to like debug all the tech stuff in real time, and